Oh my god, I'm so sweaty. What? You did?
I don't even have any beer. Intro! Intro!
We're not the first. We definitely won't be the last. We'd like to welcome you. Not another conspiracy cast.
You've been working on your impressions this week, haven't you?
Have I really? I just haven't spoken to many people.
Yeah, that was good.
Oh dear. Jimmy was a lovely fellow. Shame he was a paedophile.
Oh, shame he's a pedo.
Shame
Have
he
you
was
ever
a
seen
bloody
that
pedo.
interview with Princess Diana and Prince Charles? And they're like, Princess Diana's like, what made you fall for him? And she's just like, I don't know. And then he's like, well, we were quite obviously in love, weren't we?
No, wasn't we, darling?
And then he just goes, whatever love is.
Ah!
She just kind of looked at him like,
With his horrible hands.
Oh, whatever love is.
I've got my watches on too tight, you see. I don't know what love is.
Us
My heart
royalists
doesn't
don't.
work properly because of the gout.
But we royalists don't hug. So whatever love is, I don't know.
whatever love is.
Mate, that article from the Archbishop, you shouldn't expect our roles to be superhuman.
Yeah, look, we can't help it if we touch kids. Just come on. Let's just wind it down a bit, yeah? Let's fucking... Look, I haven't had a kid in 3 days.
Give us a break. We can't help it. We're not superhuman. We've got to fuck something.
What would you do if you were a lizard in a skin suit?
We need to fuck kids or we'll die.
Get it?
What?
Get it?
What?
Fucking superhuman.
You fucking poor people, not fucking kids.
Oh my god.
I need to...
OGsocks.co.uk.
Hey!
NAC.
Code NAC. Right, are we ready?
Yeah.
Right, are we ready?
Right, yeah, I'm ready. I've got my notes up. Or my scribblings.
Welcome to another episode of Not Another Conspiracy Podcast. Got it wrong. But
Hey!
it's okay, we'll do it anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, JJ's gone.
You made JJ walk away, mate. Come on.
I'll start again. I'll wait for him to get back.
Yeah, sorry. I think I might have to wear like some sort of sunglasses.
All right, Diva. We've only had 4 episodes.
Hungover.
Dracula, but they're not even sunglasses. They're like shooting glasses.
Oh, yeah. Conspiracy glasses.
Lebowski.
You look like you've just logged on to GTA Online. You've got a little bit to buy, and that's the first thing you found. Oh, got these for the pre-purchase. There we go.
Right, we'll start again once JJ's got his nonce glasses on.
I look awful.
So
bloated.
Two nonce pellets in the eye. Would you want some Werthers, kid?
Hello,
I prefer pizza.
Oh, funny you say that.
Fucking boiling.
Jimmy used to love giving the kids Werther's originals just before he fucked them in the arsehole. Welcome to another episode of Not Another Conspiracy Podcast.
Hey!
And we have in Detroit, Michigan, the king of conspiracy, under 140 pounds.
Hello.
It's definitely not me then.
And our heavyweight conspiracy contender tonight, JJ Jackson in historic York.
Let's get ready to rumble.
And disqualified
from UFC.
Let's
fight.
and disqualified for performance enhancing drugs in Southend-on-Sea. It's me, Ben Mills.
Hey.
Hello, boys.
Hello, gentlemen.
boys.
How are you doing today?
Doing all right. Right.
Awful.
Okay. Again with his little water bottle.
I'm having a
So
Coors
spill it
Light.
everywhere. Oh, fuck.
I've got a Coke Zero, watching my waistline.
I only have a
Just
Coors
got a
Light.
bottle of water.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. Endorsed.
But now talking about dropping names, OG Socks. Mine are in the wash actually currently, spinning round behind me. But yes, ogsocks.co.uk.
That's a bad
Is it
foot.
doc-
Oh!
Ah! You do not have OG Socks on. But yeah, if you go to OG.
JJ got his own foot made into a sock for
Ah,
OG Socks.
so but
Not
yeah,
pants on either.
if you head to ogsocks.co.uk, I could be wrong. Is it .co.uk? It is, isn't it?
indeed.
I'm just
.co.uk.
being in
UK
America.
based.
I'm just used to obviously .com and all that shit now. But use code NAC at checkout. Boom, boom, 20% off. How does that sound?
That sounds
Lovely
like
bubbling.
an
Can
awesome deal.
Can I comment as well, like that? And I'm not just saying this because we've got ourselves a sponsor, like, but they are stupid comfy. Now, I'm a big fan of wearing. I'm a big fan of like wearing the shin shorts, like the era of the early 2000s of Blink.
Yes,
like
you are.
that's my fashion go-to. So when you've got socks that you can pull like up and sit really comfortable when you're wearing them. Man, they're amazing. Like they hug your underfoot as well. Like
I always
seriously
wear
good
socks up to
socks.
the shins, and these they touch the shin perfectly. They're a great
They're
Just-
also
shin
like
sock.
double ply cotton or something.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're
Really
so
Very
comfy,
warm.
and they feel like they're hugging the underside of your feet. They're really like. But yeah, obviously I got my package last week. But you guys have obviously had your packages early. But OG Socks,
Hey.
thank you so much. So comfy, wonderful. Oh, thank you for the stickers as well. I like the Grim Reaper one that's like sat there with a side.
They're my stickers.
All right, not you, OG. So JJ, I really like those stickers, man.
I've got
That was my,
loads of
failed-
those.
My failed clothing company that I
Yeah.
started.
Oh, I
was-
liked it.
I've got
Well, Ben
I've got the patches. I've got everything. I remember when that was coming out. I was ready to buy it. The
Yeah,
Jackson.
I'd have probably sent you it. I'd have probably been bankrupt in a year anyway. Cause
I was waiting for you.
the amount of people who I had on the influencer list was more people than potentially going to buy it.
Yeah.
It's okay because the guy I was in business with just pretty much lied to me the whole time. So,
Oh. Don't do business with dickheads.
well, he didn't lie to me. We weren't very good at communicating, so it was.
Oh, I
never,
see.
Never going to happen.
Yeah.
So, this week, guys, we have got to lift the lid on what could potentially be the most intense, insane conspiracy, and also probably one of the highly probable ones as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like you just said, it's an insane thought, but looking at, we will try to divulge the information that we've learned, although we're not scientists. As all three of us have been discussing through the week, we're sitting here researching shit, and it's like we're going, where do you start? How do I articulate this when I'm in no way, shape, or form
I've not used
a scientist?
the mind blown emoji so much as I have this week.
So
It's insane.
it's a batshit nuts concept, but it's quite plausible. That's the horrifying nature of it.
That's the scariness of it. Is that
Right.
that if because there's three the we should really start with the what
We
it
should probably
is.
tell people what we're actually talking about.
I'm gonna
Right, so yeah.
we don't normally.
No. So we're going with the simulation theory, the idea that everything we are experiencing right now and what we are living is essentially fake, and that it is just a projection from something else. So the definition of simulation theory on my notes, is one thing that I at least got, was the definition. So the simulation hypothesis or simulation theory is the proposal that all of reality, including the Earth and the rest of the universe, could in fact be an artificial simulation, such as a computer simulation. Some versions rely on the development of a simulated reality, a proposed technology that would be able to convince its inhabitants that the simulation was real. We are basically living in The Sims, possibly.
Possibly. That's one way it could be.
Yeah.
There's another argument for simulation by Donald Hoffman, and this is the one that really fucked me up. Probably blew my mind. Is that evolution has shaped our perceptions to allow us to survive. So we're not that we could be.
Whoa! What?
Our whole reality could just be a construct by a consciousness, so we can survive. So that what might actually be really happening might be
just an imagination.
Too hard, or too scary, or too much for us to
comprehend.
So
this
is another one.
Flight of each.
Yeah.
The thing that I got from it was that he was saying that we've essentially evolved from fight. All of our atoms have essentially evolved from fight or flight to the bare bone atom that had to do one thing or another, and then the next atom had a choice of one thing or another, and then eventually they gained 4 subjects that they had to do, and then eventually
pack it in.
All of our parts that were made of are just loads of things arguing with each other about should we do this, should we do that?
This is good because I didn't touch on Hoffman during research.
Good.
So
you probably would have died because if I did like the main simulation theory. I was like,
yes,
I got that down. VR. We're in VR. Right. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Donald Hoffman. Oh, my head hurts. I've read one line. So if we're gonna stick with this one for a minute.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
His metaphor for what
his idea.
Yeah. So this is just a sick metaphor. It's a quote Brass Eye.
A sick metaphor.
Is
it some kind of sick? Some kind of sick metaphor.
He wears FUBU instead of a turban.
Yeah.
He's basically like Ali G of Aladdin. Sick metaphor.
I think you mean Mufasa, and I think he's the dad in Lion King, not the bad guy. But that's fine. You're obviously not down with your Disney.
See, that's a glitch. That's a glitch in the Matrix of forgetting. How did you?
How did you get
Bernstein
Mufasa
Bear
and
thing,
Jafar? You got Mufasa and Jafar mixed up.
Yeah, that's
Jafar.
a Mandela effect.
And
Right.
Mandela
So
Sorry, Ben. Yes, go ahead.
So his metaphor for explaining kind of how reality is that on your desktop computer you have a little icon. It's blue and it's got an envelope on it, and that is your emails, right? And in there is emails. But in reality, emails don't look like that. Okay, so it's.
They're ones and zeros. Yeah.
So it has color, it has position, and it has a shape. Those are the only categories available to you at that time, and yet none of them are true about the file itself or anything in the computer. So that icon represents nothing at all to do with emails or like. And even if you ignore that it's ones and zeros and it's binary code, that envelope with the icon in it, the email doesn't look like that. You open it up, it's text, it's a letter, it's just written out. So that's how far removed our reality is. So what we're seeing is a blue icon with an envelope in it. But in reality, we could be ones and zeros. It could be lines of text. It could be like the email. You know, the email, what it actually looks like if you look at it online and stuff. You know, like with all the tagging, the meta tagging and stuff. So that's how far removed it is. And they've done tests and I read too much into it. It's crazy.
He goes on to explain with that. He uses it as like an analogy for the human eye.
Gotcha. Okay.
Says the human eye is like a 12 billion or 112 billion pixel camera.
Yeah.
And he said each section isn't actually analysing like the whole picture. It's just taking in elements of that picture and then binding it all together. I think that's what I...
Yes, okay.
He said, there's meant to be 128 million colours, but there's no colours.
Yeah.
And there's no
Your brain makes the colours.
There's no photons.
Well, yeah, that's like super true.
Like, even he goes, and you know, in the next, it would be if we're talking about reality, and he goes, and let's imagine that brain science is real. That's the first thing he says. Like, what?
Let's imagine if brain science is real.
Let's imagine that neuroscience is a real thing.
Is that a class? Brain science?
Well, neuroscience.
Okay, right.
And let's imagine neuroscience is a real thing, and I believe in space and time. when you open your eyes and you look out, you're seeing 128 bazillion photons or something crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the universe.
Eyes.
If we're observing the universe.
No, just in what you can say.
In
is,
your field of view.
Is
Gotcha.
128 whatever photons firing at you, and none of them are real. None of it's real. It's apparently everything is
real,
conscious.
but it's the brain telling. It's the brain telling the
creating what is in front of you.
Creating what is there.
Like,
so,
right.
Just moving on from the colour thing. I watched one today with Nick Bostrom, and who's another figurehead in this whole.
And
he came up with
thing.
this simulation argument.
He is the figurehead.
Yes. Yeah, he is the figurehead. Yeah.
He's the Bob Lazar of
Simulation theory. Yeah.
He does. He said that you know, for instance, the idea of the prism of light, where it is essentially white light is just all colours.
Yes.
So
yes.
He says these receptors in your brain, or how we perceive them, is
Uh,
basically just a colour wheel.
Right.
So
yeah.
All that happens is that our brain, like when it it basically just points that white light, the light that's shining on the object, it points that into the back of our eye, and that's why we make you know.
And
our
eyes aren't real, and we're in it basically. Well, they call it something cool, but. Like it's got a proper name, but basically what we see and the voice in our head is just the user interface for our consciousness.
Fucking hell! Hold on. But do you know what's
it's got a cool name that they use for it, like, and every animal and like insects and stuff has got a different user interface. That's why we can't speak to dogs, because their user interface is different.
Fuck me. Hold on. Jesus Christ.
I know! And this is the only one that I've heard this, like, I only heard it listen to this 2 days ago.
This is what's weird as well is your mic quality has changed. So it's as if the agents are sitting.
I was literally just messaging him because I was just like, oh,
What's happened to my mic?
What my friend said about us, like, oh.
So
But yeah, you turned into a robot, literally.
Mr. Anderson.
But what's interesting is, JJ, what you were saying about the whole light or light coming at you is one singular, or it's one singular color. It's white, but when it enters the eyes, somehow our brain sits there and takes, well, that particle's that color, but that's a very. So is he saying? Where is this information being projected from? Did he get to that at all?
I don't even fucking know what he's on about.
It's our consciousness has evolved to so it's evolution has shaped. Right, I'm gonna read a quote from Donald Hoffman. If you've got anyone listening now, search Donald Hoffman in your podcast thing and listen to all of them, and you will go to sleep really easily, but you will have the weirdest dreams. Trust me. Right, evolution.
And you may never wake up.
Evolution has shaped us with perceptions that allow us to survive, but part of that involves hiding from us the stuff we don't need to know, and that's pretty much all of reality, whatever reality might be.
Oh, that's so terrifying. Yeah, that's so terrifying. Even like simulation theory as a whole is a batshit nuts concept, but the more you listen to it and the more you hear arguments for it, the more it kind of makes sense. And I think that's because of like the way we've evolved as humans with the materials that we've created ourselves. So like I wanted to get to it in a moment, like the idea of where we have gone technologically. Like, and I think because for instance, if you mentioned to someone in 1920 and you sat there and went, what if I was to tell you that everything that's going on right now is a movie? Because that telling them it's a movie would be easier than trying to explain to them what a fucking computer is. Because it's easy for us because we'd go, what if the Sims 4 are actually living a real life? Yeah. Like, I think it's more.
It's always been a thing in history, throughout history, though, hasn't it? This simulation thing,
right? Because
it's not, obviously we've not had today's modern technology to kind of put it to. So, it's put a computer. So,
right, of course.
Was it Descartes? I think, therefore I am. Was wondering if he was real.
Who's Descartes?
He's a philosopher from
philosopher,
France.
right? I thought I'd heard the name. Yeah.
And he's the guy who said, "I think, therefore I am." He was, because at the time he was questioning whether he was real or
right.
Part of someone else's like imagination or consciousness.
Yeah. So the concept has been around, and go on,
JJ.
JJ.
It goes even further back than that. I think it goes back to
way back.
Greek philosophy, because what Nick Bostrom was saying was that the original idea was born from the idea that when everyone thought the Earth was flat, someone said, "Well, what's the Earth sat on?" And the guy was like, "A turtle's all the way down." And then they said, "Well, what's the turtle sat on?" And the
turtle's all the way down.
The guy just said, "Another turtle."
And then it just go.
And that's essentially what Nick Bostrom's idea of the probability is. He's saying that
because it's continuous in itself.
A row of simulations.
Right.
It was interesting that Joe Rogan argued with him, basically saying, "Well, why do you believe that?" Because the Occam's razor or whatever it is says that the most proof should be the answer. So he was like, "Well, maybe we just haven't developed that simulation yet, but we're getting there."
Right. Yeah. Because
it went on to his 3 ideas, like Nick Bostrom.
Yes, I did see that. Yeah, have you guys got them listed? Because
I can read them to you right now if you want.
Ben,
go for it.
For your mic quality as well, mate. Would it work pulling the mic out and then putting it back in? Because it does. It's like you're.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sounds like it's just disconnected.
How about now?
Yay! Oh no.
No. What about now? Now? Is that better?
No, it just sounds.
You sound like you're a robot.
all the bass has gone out of it. It's just really toppy.
Really?
Bear with us, conspiracy theorists.
Do a sync clap, but I don't know if that
doesn't matter. Never use it.
It's like really hummy, you know, when there's like something unconnected.
How about now?
Turn it up. Turn the volume up.
Now turn it back up.
I had a guitar plugged in.
You're speaking through a guitar, man.
I had the guitar plugged in with the
speaking to me, man.
Mike's plugged
I
in.
was just like, who's this fucking idiot who's in control of my life?
I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna hold the microphone like this for a second, so I can read this with dramatic
so we
effect.
got Nick Bostrom's.
Nick Bostrom's simulation argument states one of the following propositions is true. Proposition 1: the human species is very likely to go extinct before reaching a post-human stage.
I could believe that.
So that's.
I could believe that all day long.
So that's one of the propositions. Proposition 2: any post-human civilization is extremely unlikely to run a significant number of simulations of their evolutionary history or variations thereof. So they'll basically get bored before they do it, or they won't bother.
Or they won't have reached that technological advancement.
No, they're at that.
No, they have.
Sorry, yes, yeah.
Where they've got.
Gotcha.
They're all fucking glued to their iPhones. They don't give a fuck about anything else.
Yeah. And then the third one is we are almost certainly living in a computer simulation. It follows that the belief that there is a significant chance that we will one day become posthumans who run ancestor simulations is false unless we are currently living in a simulation. So it's either we go extinct, we're not interested in doing it, we're in one.
Or we're in one, or we haven't got to the point of being able to create it yet. But we will.
No.
We're just in one.
It's either
right. Okay, my life is meaningless.
Well, your life's the same.
How many simulations there are is the thing.
It's the question as well, because
this is where Joe Rogan and Nick Bostrom. I don't know if anyone's seen it.
I haven't seen it. No.
It's fine up until maybe about an hour and a half in, and then
I only saw a few clips.
Basically, Joe Rogan just asks him the same question for an hour.
Fucking hell.
And he just explains it in 20 different ways, and Joe Rogan's like, I get it, but logically, we might not have created a simulation. But then he's just like, but probably we have. And he's like, let me explain it even stupider.
Is it even more
monkey-headed chimp man? That's basically what I'm saying.
Is it even more awkward than Tom DeLonge's episode? Like
it gets to the point where Nick Bostrom is like, he's just getting so frustrated
because he just doesn't understand.
He doesn't give up. He just doesn't give up. Like if it was me, I'd be like, all right, you don't get it. Like Nick Bostrom is like,
I'm off. Yeah.
Let me do this even simpler. And then he basically explains it, and I think this is just for everyone who's listening. Maybe you can't be bothered. He explains it as if a scientist man did an experiment on you every day, and whatever happened in that day, so basically you, the person, wakes up and the scientist flips a coin. If it's a heads, the simulation's over and you don't go back. If it's a tails, they try the experiment again tomorrow, but they anesthesia you or whatever you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So basically, you wake up the next day and you don't know what happened yesterday. And
Right,
you do the
gotcha,
thing
yeah.
Over and over again. And Nick Bostrom was basically saying, we could have done it 20 times, we could have done it 1 time, we could have done it no times. So the first point that Ben made is the scientists haven't even started the experiment.
Sure.
The second time is the scientist didn't even think of the experiment. And then the third time, the scientist is doing the experiment and we are either 10 times into the simulation, 5
Yeah,
million
so,
times
yeah.
into the simulation, or we are the first of its kind.
And that would kind of make sense as well, because there's a lot of lost history, like throughout history, what we know as it is.
Out before
That
we
would
get
be in
too
a
far into
simulation,
it,
though.
Yeah.
It took Joe Rogan nearly 2 hours to understand that, and I fucking understood it in 1 second.
Yeah.
So just saying, if you want the hard, cold facts.
And it would like, looking at history as it is anyway, it's quite interesting how many. Go on, Ben. Sorry.
That history would be a simulation.
Right, but that's what it's like. How do we forget how, like, people built the pyramids? Like, how did somehow through civilization? Well, no. What I'm saying is. Oh man, this is fucking my head up big time already. Like, it's like how something so spectacular we just happen to have forgotten throughout human history. But if you look at it in the sense of each time we're going through this simulation and a coin's being flipped in the way history obviously goes in on top of each simulation, then it's no wonder that some things have been forgotten. And it could be a fact that a simulation has been reset or has been started again over and over, because we're just so forgetful when it comes to human history.
Yeah, or that
does that make sense?
That part of the simulation
Yeah.
was accidentally lost in like a deletion.
Right, exactly.
Like,
And
I've just deleted the fucking 200 AD.
So,
oh, no,
like you were saying,
I'm such an idiot.
That's when everyone was fucking boys in Greece.
The penises
So-
were a lot smaller back then.
so it's like
I remember that.
They're all
I wanted-
broken off.
I wanted to go back to, like, trying to, before I go to, like, some other things that I wanted to bring up as well, I wanted to maybe get to a point where we was listening to those conspiracy guys deep dive podcast, which is like 6 hours long, incredible information and incredible sort of arguments from both sides and stuff like that. But what was interesting is when they were discussing consciousness and how it's the idea of transferring consciousness to a sentient body and it then becoming like fully sentient because of consciousness would be eventually. We don't even understand what consciousness is, but the idea of being able to put consciousness into something and it then operate doesn't sound too far from reality at this point. And the fact of that, then they were talking about the idea of time travel existing or being possible when it comes to taking on ideas from the simulation theory in not fully having to transfer our own organic bodies through time, because biologically it's impossible, but because consciousness as we know it is weightless, it's like we don't know what it's made of, but it clearly can be, ideas can be transferred, it's information. So like that still kind of connects in a way. I just wanted to what is your understanding of consciousness?
My understanding of consciousness is, because this goes back to Donald Hoffman again, my good old pal Donald fucking Hoffman. They've tried to recreate the human brain, a consciousness and the human brain so much, and they can't. And he said that apparently, like, there's no way that you put that many neurons on top of each other, it would create consciousness.
Right, yeah.
So that's what that goes back to. That is
So that's what he was. So basically, that's what I
Yeah.
got from it, and that's what my verdict, which I'll say at the end. I think I personally have felt this for a very long time. But he was saying that even the smallest things we can see, we only discovered them in the last 100 years. So
Yeah.
he's saying that the things that could make up our consciousness, like the things that make us elemental,
Yeah, and
might
sentient.
be
Yeah,
even smaller than that.
Yeah,
But
which is possible.
What he's saying about the smallest thing that they're... I mean, I couldn't get my head around this experiment, the slit experiment. I understand what it did.
yes, I understood what it did, but I
understand what it did, but I don't understand what that means. Like, it will
it
turn one
basically-
way, and then if it's
Right.
observed, it's going the other way. It's
because they're both
perception.
consciously
Until
connected.
until it's been
The-
perceived, it can be anything, and it's in superposition until it's perceived, and then it has to pick something. That's what I got. He's like,
It's like we're
Should we
controlling
explain
nature.
should we
JJ,
explain
yeah.
What his idea was that each element, after these experiments, I think this is what he was getting at. After these experiments, they realized that these particles had their own choices. So we just thought that they were just like they would be forced. They would just do whatever they were told to do. Essentially,
Was it a
Like-
quark?
Like worker, yeah.
Yeah, a quark. Yeah.
So anyway, they did a test where they cut a hole. I think the problem is you have to see it because it sounds so like everyone will be like, they didn't just fucking cut a hole, did they? It was a fucking tiny hole. Anyway, they cut a hole, power blast some fucking particles through it, and then I'll explain that bit quickly. It leaves a splatter pattern.
Yes.
Like a
What waveform?
pattern.
Yeah.
No, that's a different
Oh,
one.
okay.
So when they
Gotcha.
pump waveform through it, it creates a spray paint pattern. So it's like
Yes.
a smooth, bit less random. It's got a bit more of a visual thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, they do it with two slits, and it creates a different pattern on both sides. So particles and waveforms. It creates a splatter pattern on both sides, and then on the other side, it creates like two waveforms that create like 5 essential lines because the other waveforms are meeting.
Yes.
But the big emoji mind
The big
thing the big whoa is that they noticed many years later that the patterns would change if they were being observed by a human. So these things,
See, that's fucking-
the results change. So these things that have no choice are
yeah.
making a choice, or we are
Based-
we're willing the choice.
Yeah, but
so this
they're-
is where simulation theory gets its
foundations
science,
from.
its
Right,
bare-
because it's
bare
like-
bones.
Yeah, it's because if it's being perceived through a human, it's like we are almost controlling the nature of those elements. But I see what they're saying as well when people say like, oh, we're all connected. We are the universe subconsciously experiencing itself. That's what made me understand that. Because I was like, when it's viewed, it's reacting because of something viewing it. So therefore, there could be something viewing us because we're controlling nature, but are we? So that idea is, yeah, I get it. I totally get that. And I understand it, yeah.
I
And it's
think
horrifying.
One of the sort of layman's things that he said was, and this is like taking it to the computer game kind of vibe, like the simulation.
Yep.
We see things only when they're kind of relevant to our
Perception, yeah.
our story.
Yes.
But then everyone else might be seeing that thing, and it's more relevant. So that we are always constantly. So when people say, "Why do you think that's not real?" It's just like it's real to the people who are viewing it. But
Yes.
The famous thing is if a tree falls
In the
there's
woods.
nobody there, would you hear it? Does it make a
Yeah.
sound?
So
And it's like, does it? Because no one's there, and I think you were going to go on to.
well, just to quickly,
the cat in the box.
the Schrodinger's, yeah, I'm going to get to the Schrodinger's cat in a box theory in a moment, but to explain what JJ is explaining there to people that obviously probably don't have a visual idea of what we're trying to explain of things being there when they are perceived, when they've got like someone viewing them, is picture and the reason he associated it to video games is when people are developing a level in a video game, they'll create a square plane, which is the map, and wherever the player is observing, there will be a certain field of view where anything that is programmed in that area will appear. So it's kind of saving like memory essentially.
It's
So whenever the character's moving around, whatever was in its plane of view at that moment now disappears because it's not being observed. And
it's too labor intensive,
right?
For the computer game at
yes.
the time. So if the computer game is 128-bit or whatever, so then people immediately go, well, your head doesn't have any memory, and it's just like, yeah, but the idea is that at the moment your head is the best computer.
Yes, exactly.
It's a VR headset,
render things from a distance. And then he said something about eyesight, which I was just like, oh my god, this is where I'm fucking... shit. He said the standard human eyesight is 20/20 vision, and he says, imagine that's the rendering engine. So he was just like,
no, don't like it.
So past 2020, the things aren't getting rendered by you anymore. It's just shit memory. Like there's no memory in that back bit. I was like,
I hate that I get it.
No.
I hate that I get it. No, don't.
Another thing that he pointed out, which can I just quickly squeeze this part in actually, because it's
sure
kind of is relevant to it. But there's a woman who I had it up here. She's called Annika Harris. So she's got an idea of simulation theory, and it's kind of a little bit off from what was the guy who we were just not Nick Bostrom, the other guy
Hoffman.
Hoffman.
So he talks about things as being a VR headset, like a sort of an analogy as a VR headset. You only see the things on the VR headset and everything behind you. From what I gathered from what she said is, this is kind of her counter argument to it is, yes, your eyes are the VR headset, but then she said, imagine that there's other rendering things on your body, i.e. touch, sound,
taste, smell,
extra depth perceptions that create that environment around you. So like if you walk into like an old room and you smell a smell from years ago, your brain will immediately create that environment in your head. But this is one thing that she said, and this is what apparently she thinks our brains have evolved to do. She said, imagine hitting a tennis ball, like in your head, imagine hitting a tennis ball.
Yeah.
So you're on a tennis court.
Ben, did you just do that?
Imagining it. I'm getting in there.
You swung his head.
You hit a tennis ball,
I played a good game of swing ball earlier, so I've got that.
Oh.
You know.
You got that natural, that muscle memory.
Nearly knocked my kid out.
Why did he beat you?
No, he just came running at me.
Sorry, go on, JJ.
So, didn't hit the ball, just hit him straight in the face with the
Daddy!
He's now just got like a waffle print on his face.
Tribute.
That's what all that chocolate was on his face. He was just about to bite into a muffin. You smashed it.
Fucking waffle print.
Right. Yeah, so anyway, she was saying you hit a tennis ball. Our brain immediately combines all the senses of that into one moment, but she said the time of everything is all completely off, and it's something that our brain does called binding, and some people don't have that. So she said if someone plays tennis and they hit the ball, they'll first see the light, so see the ball, and then they'll hear the sound, and then their brain will feel that they've actually hit it. So she was like, some people don't have that in the world, and people can't understand it. They can't get their head around it.
Yeah.
So when people are describing it, they're just like, oh yeah, it's not like that. And this is why sometimes there was a guy at our school who had this thing where he could physically see something, but his body was so slow because his brain couldn't comprehend.
Right.
Couldn't comprehend that the person had thrown it. He couldn't hear like the sss of the ball, and he'd go like that to catch it before it was even there.
So it's like his processing and rendering was
before it. So he thought
he was perceiving the ball coming towards him, that it was already closer, but it actually was a bit further.
But it was still
Mike,
far away.
closer.
It wasn't anything to do with his.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
So basically, she was saying that these little programs in our head that do stuff like bind things together are essentially a simulation because they aren't happening at the same time. But that's on a micro level.
Right, and that's proof that it isn't happening. Because I've heard.
You can't see your nose, can you? But if you close one eye, you can see your nose.
Yeah.
Right. So
Mike, closer. Ben, Mike, closer.
Your brain
there you go.
automatically removes your nose from your vision, even though it's
Yeah,
there.
it does.
So you can close one eye, close the other. Your nose is there.
Do you think
So
that's
it's
because it's is it a distraction? Maybe that's why aliens
I think you
don't
just
have
got used to
noses.
that-
They're so evolved.
Yeah,
They were like, why do we need this shit when I can't see it?
you can't see it anyway.
Mark, who works at my shop, he said this. He was like, "Do you think aliens might not have noses because they had to wear masks for so long that they rendered them completely useless? So they just had a flat nose and two little nostrils."
That's fucking brilliant.
So maybe they're from the future. But then I was starting to think about what you were saying about how if they are running a simulation, they might just be running all the fucking shit that we did that destroyed the Earth and trying to fix it all in these like parallel simulations. So I was just like,
Fucking no, don't.
Yeah, see, this is when you start getting into like why the simulation, which is that. But have you noticed it's a lot like, or yeah, is it a simulation or is it now they're just like these? We just need to end this game, but you can't quit the simulation. You can't quit a simulation. You have to end the simulation by either
Doing something, yeah.
like maybe leaving the planet, destroying the planet, or
well, they're probably all running parallel. So
Yeah.
imagine if when I said a couple of weeks ago about that when we were talking about COVID-19 about how we're just like the human petri dish.
Yes.
We might just be a prison planet where they're like, let's test all this shit down there. They're worthless. But while we're doing it, make sure they dig up some gold so we can,
hellish
build
chimps.
some
Let's fuck with
bullshit.
them.
Yeah. But the idea, like, because Nick Bostrom talks about it as continuing simulation. So we create a simulation that then in turn creates a simulation. But then there was something I was reading. I think it kind of ties in with string theory, where there might just be like millions of simulations just running at once, and it's just like they're all kind of running at the same time, but then something bad might happen in one, and like Ben
Then
said,
one drops out.
End game, and then and then the memory gets better for all the other ones. So maybe the memory.
no, I think they just start another one. It was like restart and it starts again, and that's what the Big Bang is just the simulation starting again. You can
turning on. So
just go
and
with
on
it.
an old computer.
That's a terrifying thought.
Yeah, but then think about the time. So like in our mind, we're talking like what fucking billions of years.
Yeah,
like,
right.
So this is what she was saying about like the significance of the binding thing. So to us, like it's microseconds. We wouldn't know anything about it.
Right. But it
imagine
isn't.
if us now is literally just like that little snap of like our whole life is just that little snap of.
If you
them
put the
going,
you put the Sims on fast and it just runs through a whole day, like, and oh shit, I've done it, I'm fed up.
Yeah, and that was only like, that was 20 days. It was one day in The Sims or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, I never played it, but
It's funny you talk. It's funny when you was mentioning like the brain is like a kind of rendering device or binding device, because and you talking about that the person that saw something had already thought that he had the ball, but because that information hadn't rendered correctly and in sync in his head, obviously it changed everything. It's like I've heard.
It's called. I think what he had a form of. I think it's dyspraxia.
Yeah.
Or something. Because I heard
form of it where it was specifically to do with touch and synchronization of touch.
That's so bizarre.
All his other senses would work as a everyone else's would, like, I don't want to say a normality, but like how everyone else would usually.
Because I was reading
a thing with a ball, so.
Because I was reading Reddit and I can't remember what. I'm sure this is what someone was explaining. Like someone started asking, like they were talking about like consciousness and their brain and stuff like that. They said that. I think it was correct in them saying that they couldn't talk to themselves in their head, or they couldn't. Some people can't do that.
Some people can't.
What?
Some people don't have inner monologues, but
That's it in the monologues.
another thing on the Donald Hoffman thing, I was going to say. Did you know that if they separate, there's a joint, something that joins the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere in your head.
Right.
If that join gets severed, right, you then have two completely different personalities in your head.
Yeah, they talked about Phineas Gage.
That couldn't.
What?
They wouldn't know about that much about. They wouldn't be that close. They wouldn't be friends. Like it wouldn't be like you wouldn't be able to play 20 questions with that person. But
one of them is logic, another one is reason, right?
But he said that
he said
that didn't matter. He said once that separation happens, the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere both have to then recalibrate and do both. Once
What
that
the
happens. Yeah.
fuck?
He goes, but that goes on to prove that the evolutionary simulation is real, and each part of our body is conscious. So that
Right,
like,
yeah.
there's a consciousness in, like you said, turtles all the way down. It's consciousness all the way down.
Fucking hell.
This brain absorbs all the consciousness into one thing, but if that starts breaking apart, instead of it dying, and that consciousness then breaks apart, almost like cutting the head off a thing,
A chicken.
growing another head, and growing more heads.
Oh.
What's that in?
Gecko type thing.
Yeah, in Hercules.
He mentioned-
I know. Yeah. I know the
He
thing.
mentioned a railroad worker called Phineas Gage. It's like he was working on a railroad and a spike went through his jaw and severed that bit in his brain. He
Right.
was always known as being like a really nice guy and whatnot, and then straight away after that he was fine, he survived. Whether this is just like a moral thing, I don't know, but he was like, he survived, but he was just a complete arsehole after that, apparently. Just
Bloody
he was
hell.
just a completely
That
different
happens a lot
person.
with
strokes and stuff and
head
dementia.
injuries. Like apparently
Yeah.
Roseanne Barr, she had a head injury when she was young, and she ended up going to a mental home and stuff. And said her family said she completely changed. What's his name? One of the stand-ups. The guy used to be really angry. I can't remember his name. He's
It's
dead
not
now.
Bill Burr. He's always angry. George Carlin? Doug Stanhope?
No, older than Carlin. Yeah,
Oh.
before Carlin. Short, fat, long hair. Always wear that hat backwards. Dude loves cocaine.
Oh, you...
Bill Hicks.
No, not Bill Hicks. He ain't fat. He was slim.
Yeah, but they all love cocaine.
Yeah.
Ben, pull your mic closer. I can barely hear you, dude.
All right, how about now?
That's it. Yep, perfect.
Yes.
But that's kind of all leading to what I'm also wanting to get to, because I was asking what you guys thought what consciousness is exactly. So during my research, I found out that they have scientists, we use that terminology like
We
they
mean
like
scientists. If we say
Yeah.
they, we mean science.
So they allegedly, the brain
Or the
calculates
government.
100 million billion operations per second, and this kind of leads to, or it's at least helping.
How many zeros is that? Zero.
It's phone up seeds of deconstruction.
Zero.
100 million billion operations per second. Like that's allegedly
Wish
what
the
they believe.
NHS could handle that.
Yeah, but like when you think about it, that's the brain somehow keeping this mush of like meat together, like stopping our skin from melting off, like or its fundamental values changing because of the environment around it. Like that brain, or whatever the brain is doing, is controlling absolutely everything that's inside your body.
That's what the guy's saying about how we've evolved. So he
Yeah.
said a small atom has just made a decision once, and then it created something else, and that created.
There has to
something
be that,
else.
right?
Yeah,
and it's
then
kind of
eventually
formulates.
Crawled out of a fucking river, and then it turned into a monkey or whatever, and then
Right,
turned
so-
into us.
So as well, with that information, 100 million billion operations per second, if we were to simulate all of human history, it was calculated that we'd need a simulation of 200 billion humans with an average life of, say, 50 years. 1 year equals 30 million seconds times 50 years times 200 billion humans. 1,000,000,000,000,000,000,000 operations per second, more operations than there are stars in the observable universe. That's what they believe the computer that would be able to power a simulation of the current human history would require 1,000,000,000,000,000,000,000 operations per second. And so that's an argument that a lot of people have used in saying, well, it can't be possible because that technology isn't available to us. Like it's not observable to us. But there was something called god damn it, where are you? In my browser, that's it.
That's not available to us if we're in a simulation.
Right. So
we might be on the next step to make the simulation.
right.
Yeah.
So people have I don't know if Bostrom or Hoffman had thought about this, or they probably have and discussed it in maybe some different different areas of research and that. So people have thought that what could possibly power a computer to simulate our current history and timeline and what we know.
Blood
at the
of
moment.
children.
Blood of and pizza and pepperoni pizza. So they came up with the idea that a Dyson sphere. Now, have you guys heard of a Dyson sphere?
Yeah, I've got one. It's for really good with the animal hair.
It's great Hoover.
Great Hoover.
It's a great Hoover.
It's a great Hoover.
Facts guy.
So
Boo!
Facts play 4, baby. Sucked it all right up.
Dyson Cyclone 8 all the way.
Emery the Hoover, mate, all the way. El Clasico.
Yeah, do love a Henry.
So a Dyson sphere is a hypothetical mega. Now, what's interesting about a Dyson sphere is scientists discovered something, and everybody would have heard about this because it was being shared on Facebook like about a year ago, but I'll get to it in a moment. So a Dyson sphere is a hypothetical megastructure that completely encompasses a star and captures a large percentage of its power output. The concept is a thought experiment that attempts to explain how spacefaring civilization would meet its energy requirements once those requirements exceeded what can be generated from the home planet's resources alone. Only a tiny
I get that.
Right, yeah. Only a tiny fraction of a star's energy's emission reach the surface of any orbiting planet. Building structures encircling a star would enable a civilization to harvest more energy. Now, does anybody remember an article that was being shared around on Facebook about a year ago that scientists thought that they had observed a megastructure in space because there was light being transferred from a particular area in space, and I was like, right, and they were like, I guess it's a star, but it never had a continuous pattern. Like, it was always random when the light was being observed, so it meant that there was something passing it like several times, and a lot of people first thought maybe that's a Dyson sphere, this thing that everybody has been imagining up, the only possible thing to be able to power a simulation that could potentially power us. So there is actually some form of hypothetical idea as to how it would be possible, and it was a topic that I wanted us to talk about, how like since the 40s there has been just absurd amounts of technological advances, and
nothing happened for thousands of years, and then
when you look at like, let's stick with simulations over like, I don't know, like steam engines and blah blah blah, but so in the 70s, if I believe, when was Pong created? It was at 1970 something or whatever, I'm pretty sure it's 1974. So you look at Pong and what we had in that era, and now you look at the likes of Red Dead Redemption 2, like that game, and Rockstar games in general, like GTA 5, they create these endless environments where these NPCs walk around and they have a beginning. Man. Well, yeah, like they have these beginnings and end, or sometimes no end to their script, and these artificial intelligences just walk around these humongous cities,
just waiting to be interacted with by Alpha.
Right. So it isn't.
Well, I do declare, Bill.
Like, look at how far our technology is advancing in the last 50, 60 years or whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, and is it that much of an impossibility that one day our civilization could progress and I
think we're in a simulation, mate, so I don't know.
Let's look at that star. If we whack a few solar panels around it, and we feed that, well, we're getting so much more energy from that sun, and then it just gradually increases. It's just putting it's basically creating more advanced solar panels that are able to, instead of taking this solar energy in and transferring it as heat or whatever, they're able to use its energy in loads of different ways. It's only a matter of time, man. It's horrifying. I hate it.
This Donald Hoffman, back to Donald Hoffman.
Good old
Donald Hoffman. So, there's two guys, isn't there? There's Bostrom's one, which is like computer shit, and then there's
Hoffman's that's more philosophical.
He thinks that we've evolved to ignore what is real, and we've created this. Our consciousness is blocking out what's real and what's fake. So,
but he also says his consciousness is what we can perceive.
Yeah,
that was one
so
of
consciousness
the things
is what
he
we
was
can
saying
see
about the colour, the scale.
so on this one podcast, I can't remember, Tom B Bayou or something he was interviewing him. He goes, so he said that he'd heard somewhere that the moon is the moon because there has to be something there for us to, because there's something there that we would perceive.
Right.
And it has to, and the moon has been put there because no one understands how the moon's there or why the moon's there. Really, what I've heard, I'm sure there is
fucking servers. It's got fucking loads and loads of servers in it.
The moon is our either the servers or the power
or a Nazi
generation.
moon base,
or a moon base full of Nazis.
Power
It's just one big USB power bank. Yeah.
but
Yeah, we're just someone's mobile phone, and they're a festival, and the moon is there.
He's trying to meet up with that chick from MySpace in 2000, and it's just like fucking. Charge you up, you cunt.
I'm by the Dodgems in the camping area.
I really need to go to the toilet, lads. Sorry, first pause. There we go. Get the spike. Won't be a moment. Getting back to me talking about the whole Dyson sphere and technology being powerful enough before the break.
I don't know. The batteries are pretty shit on the Dysons, to be honest. You get about 27 minutes on max suction,
right?
But on the reduced suctions,
twice.
So you guys talking about batteries
smaller than mine, so
don't need a Duracell. So talking about the whole idea of batteries just there, Ben, this what gets me to the theory that I understood and I enjoyed the most, but also relates to the Matrix, fairly sort of close to it, and it's called like the P2p Hypothesis.
LimeWire, the LimeWire of social networking.
Right, so
BitTorrent.
Listening, and I was trying to do some research on it further, and it's not a very well talked about hypothesis for the simulation theory.
This is the one that, for me, makes the most sense from a technological point of view.
Yes.
So this is how I would expect it to work. Like if it was, for me, the P2P one is like, well, that makes more sense.
It does.
Yeah. So
it
you're
does.
all using like.
You're all subconsciously working together and experiencing yourself. Yeah. And so for the listeners,
I like to experience myself.
Yeah. So the idea
wanking,
of the P2P hypothesis is the same as we've all downloaded torrents. Like this is I'm trying to explain.
No.
Shut up, lying.
Never.
We know you have.
Never.
You've never used incognito on your browser ever.
Never have I.
VPN sponsorship.
Hey, there we go.
VPN sponsor. Yeah.
So it's like downloading. If nobody knows what a torrent is, it's almost like a file that leads you to a destination to download information from it. Now, how P2P sharing works, it's like peer-to-peer is what it stands for, but you can also observe it as person-to-person. And how it acts is there is information at a main hub, a main server point. One person that is looking at downloading the information that is contained in this main server does so. Now another person that wants to download the same information also connects to the main server, but also connects to the person that is also receiving data from the main server, and this continuously goes around. Like it could be any amount of numbers. The more people there, the faster the data is transferred, because these people are taking data from the other people that have already got this data.
Yeah.
It's almost, and how it fits into the whole idea of using a supercomputer like a Dyson sphere, or not needing something as elaborate as a Dyson sphere, because ourselves being connected to a main server, we might as well be used as the computer instead of creating a brain or a computer that's able to calculate, what was it, 100 million billion operations per second. Why not use one of the brains? Yeah, why not use one of the brains anyway? And that, as from a technological standpoint, like Ben was explaining, makes terrifyingly accurate sense to me.
That to me would make the what is it, the United unconscious. What is that word? The
Hive
combined,
mind.
the hive mind and the combined unconscious.
Yes,
How
yes.
people have the same ideas and the same thoughts. And I was thinking that. I was just thinking that. You know, when you
Deja vu as well. Like,
deja vu. It makes
just for
everything
anyone-
make sense.
Kind of listening as well with this. I think for the thing
We
that
hope
I
you are.
was struggling with, yeah, I think the things I was struggling with was all these ideas basically do stem down to like our idea of what reality is. So like,
yeah.
the difficult thing is, I think when you talk about simulation theory, I think people think that you're talking about how, because this is how it should have originally been, I think, but I think that Nick Bostrom's kind of gone, oh, I'll coin this idea, but then it'll make people go off on little tangents, which all good scientists should do, but the concept that you aren't real, you're like pixels or like data.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think that's the thing that people get confused between simulation theory and consciousness.
Yeah.
Because it's like they could be one and the same.
But they're
so
both different.
The fuel for the organic computer, which would be us, would be food. Whereas in simulation theory,
It's
it would
power,
still be
energy.
electrical. It would be power.
Yeah.
Which this is where I am more on the peer-to-peer thing, because I probably believe that we are organic computers.
Yes.
So we're not projections, and things
Right.
are there.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But we as a society over millions of years have decided what it is. So I think we were just talking there about how the Wachowski brothers have just come out that the Matrix film is a transgender thing, right? So they've now said that. But that
Shock
idea
horror.
of male and female is a construct, isn't it?
Yes.
So
Yes.
we've created that construct.
Yeah.
Which is, it's really
Biologic-
to believe that might have been an idea that they had in the back of their head and thought,
Right,
we can't mass market that because people wouldn't buy it, because it's like
Right.
it's about one small group of people or a group of people. It's not about everybody being part of the construct, which is essentially
Yes.
what the Matrix is about.
Yeah.
So I think I've just got to because people think you're crazy when you say that you're in a simulation, like, because it's fucking mental, like the idea.
Right.
is
Exactly. Yeah.
insane. So the peer-to-peer thing, I don't know if you and Ben are on the same page, because Ben was like, oh, this is more where I lean, but do you believe that with the peer-to-peer thing that it's people creating you, so there's like multiple people make their mind up about you, and then that's the
something
decision that they've made?
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
That is your projection.
Right.
So you've got friends, haven't you? Or like,
Yeah,
they're like,
yeah.
oh, he's all right, and then you've got other people who fucking hate you, like he's a cunt.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
when
but you're
they see
always-
you in the Matrix, are you like just black and fucking fuzzy and just like, you're just like, and then, like all your friends see you and you're like a fucking angel is like glowing behind you and shit like that? Is that? I know that isn't what happens because I am alive,
Yeah.
but
Are you?
that's how I imagine it, I guess.
Yeah. But so I don't look at it in that sense, and I don't think I've looked at the P2p hypothesis that deep to think about those little things. But it's more of then they went further on to explain how this main hub or server simulation is clear. It's finite because it can only contain so much data, and they were saying that. Oh, damn it! It's again, like I explained at the start. These are scientists with people that obviously have better bird brains than what we do, and it was
dedicated
saying
their whole life to it rather than one
because
week.
yeah, right, because the
Barely.
because
I've been
the
dedicated more times to my Animal Crossing island, actually.
so
Yeah,
because
I've got a
the
degree in the University of Life. Sorry,
because
man.
the technology, that's cool, because the technology has to be finite, it can't be infinite. There has to be calculations or linear based possibilities, but because we are then therefore being used as hubs of information, it makes it infinite. It makes possibilities endless in the sense of, if what is in our observable nature happens, does it exist, and is it going on somewhere else? Because there could be someone else experiencing that same thing, and that all of that information just permanently traveling all around, it then also confuses you as to whether or not we are in a simulation, because oh, this works because this is connected to this. I don't know what.
The thing is with the peer-to-peer thing, I think I've actually stumbled upon it and not known it. We were obviously having the joke about the LimeWire and all that.
Yeah, Mozilla and all that.
I think I've actually stumbled on this and not known that's what it was called. But
right.
one of the scientists involved said that the chances are we've got like a mainframe simulation, so the world is being created. So that has its own server. So
yes.
like that element of it, like the things that don't have consciousness or apparently don't have consciousness, like inanimate objects.
Yeah.
That has its own server that creates.
And
that
because it's there structurally, it's
it's
yes.
just like it's atoms and they're dead atoms. They've made
And that was my point about it being finite.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then we're on the peer-to-peer server, so we're on the the upgraded pay $3 a month and you fucking you're part of an upgrade, and then we're getting closer and closer and closer to I think what Nick Bostrom calls hyper intelligence or something like that.
Right.
It then becomes we as peer-to-peer become infinitely intelligent,
and there's
like what Ben was saying.
it sounds like the most plausible idea as well, because you get and it gets down to people that are like spirituality, people that are very spiritual in the way of their life and saying we're all connected, we're all one, and people that throw out Russell Brandisms, those sort of people,
Well, it also leads us to think that maybe people who are like mediums and psychics and stuff, maybe they've got the upgrade that they can, or they've got a fault. There's something wrong with their programming.
They're the old system. They're the old system.
And they're able to connect. They're able to connect with this other plane of reality that, like people sit there sometimes and they're like, "Do ghosts exist?" And I've experienced things that tell me they do, and I've experienced stuff that I'm just like, that person didn't see a ghost. They were hallucinating because they were really sick and blah blah blah. But
Erica Cora.
Mary loves Dick.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam.
Mary loves Dick.
It's perfect. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam. Sam's telling me that Mary loves Dick.
Are we getting confused with Quantum Leap? Wasn't he called Sam?
Sam was.
No, Sam was his protector.
Yeah, Sam was Derek's guide,
guardian angel or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's fraudulent.
But
guys.
So it's like we might sit there and say oh, that can't happen because blah blah blah. It's like, but we've got this bundle of mush inside of a skull that's being powered by small sparks of electricity, and you think that's weird, that idea's weird.
Sorry, they touch on what you just said in Matrix Revolutions with the Merovingian.
Right.
So he's essentially that's when they start going into folklore quite a lot. So those two guys, the albino twins. They're essentially ghosts in the Matrix.
Yes, yeah.
And they are, and he explains that they are loose particles, loose parts of programming that have gone astray.
Yes.
And we see them as physicalities, but in the Matrix they are essentially their fluid, so they can move around. And he also refers to some people as werewolves. But there's a really, really fucking creepy part in it that has got me thinking loads about the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing. Is that the Merovingian owns a fucking fetish goth club where there's parts, I don't know if you've watched it in depth.
No, I haven't watched the Revolutions for ages.
There's people eating flesh and stuff.
Really?
Very similar to the Blade fetish club where that woman's got her back split open and stuff like that. The Merovingian is definitely obviously meant to be a high maybe demonic person, but he is just a program.
Yeah.
So they talk a lot about that, how he is essentially a program put into the system to warp people's minds of what is good and evil. So this is what they say about religion. So they're Merovingians come to my fetish club, eat skin and fucking do all this shit, and you know what I mean? There's all those kind of weird nuances to religion in there, and there's obviously that part as well where Neo's Christ. So in the end he's sacrificed Christ.
Yeah.
He was put in the system to free people.
Right,
but,
exactly, yeah.
Spoiler alert, I'm probably going off tangent here, but the new film is meant to be about the fact that they've been freed from the Matrix. Now in the real world, they're also in a simulation.
Oh fuck me!
So
Because
when they're in- when
That's
they're
been
in
hint.
Zion,
That was hinted at, wasn't it? All the way
It
through.
was
Yeah.
hinted at the end of the second one was like when
Right.
we started meeting the architect and the little girl.
yeah,
So
it-
I was
it's-
just
it-
like, oh my god, this gets because like the Matrix world, even though it was like 20 years ago, was still quite futuristic. Like even obviously it was the way it was filmed and stuff.
Yeah.
yeah.
Then
yeah.
when you go back to like Zion, it's very like caveman-y, like primordial. Like you imagine time there was like 200, 300 years prior to like our time now. Whereas it's meant to be like
It's
2,400.
2199.
Yeah.
So it's like
219.
200 or 180 years
Yeah.
from now. But
Yeah,
it looks
it's-
old. So
But
imagine
it was-
that. Imagine like that simulation.
But
It's
wasn't
like, imagine-
Zion built in? Oh, we get into a Matrix discussion.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, it does. It links. It was just that I thought the Merovingian thing was really weird because it also links in quite a bit with that
Yeah.
Hellier thing where they're talking about synchronicities
Yeah.
and bits of like. But yeah,
Which
it's
we
a
are
totally
going to
different
do
conversation.
an episode on when Dean gets around to watching it.
What's what was
Hell
that?
yeah.
Hell yeah! Oh yeah, I still need to watch that.
Yeah.
But but my point was when it comes to like, for instance, when it comes to things like possibilities and people being kind of like a bit like, no, that's impossible. Why would that happen? But yet we're breathing this invisible element that keeps this like mush alive. And it's kind of leading to like scientists. I can't remember what the name of the scientist was who ended up discovering like coding within quarks
Yeah.
or within
James Gates.
Like, sorry,
James Gates.
James Gates. Like,
He discovered a browsing, just a bit of code that would help run a browser. He found
Ins-
that in quantum theory.
like yeah, or in quantum physics or whatever it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Like that to me is horrifying. Like that's like you just found shit that you find in Google Chrome if you inspect Element. Like,
Well,
and yet that sort of stuff is somehow powering everything.
They only started coming up with string theory around
Oh,
the
see,
time.
that's too much for me. String theory, like,
So I think it just happened to be like a bit of code that crossed over because they didn't find it in code from like the ancient times. They found it in code from quite recent times.
right? Oh,
And it's man-made code apparently, like string theory. It's like a man-made. I'm not sure. I didn't really understand it. But it's like a man-made thing.
Have you guys seen it? This links in with this. Have you guys seen now Facebook? So like this comes on from deepfake. I don't know if you guys are familiar with.
Yeah, I've heard of
Like
deepfake,
how
yeah.
they analyze a celebrity's face multiple times and then you can put it on. I mean, you've seen those fucking videos that are going around on that thing. at
My
the
mate
moment.
sent one of him that he did on his phone of him as Donald Trump, and it is amazing.
Yeah.
And that was on his phone.
So Facebook now.
scary,
Can't remember
man.
the na- I can't remember the name of it. I'll find it. Send you the link to it. Facebook now have got this thing where because you're allowing all your information to be given to them, they can essentially locate where a video was taken. So when a video is taken, obviously you move the camera and the
Yeah.
geo thing knows where it is. So it is doing this now with videos where it is simulating an area for like VR using Facebook users' videos. So if you film
And
a
then
video
they're
in your
sticking them all
house,
together.
it sticks them all together using whatever Google algorithm it's got, and it does this, and it's doing it with everyone's faces. So
Fuck.
you're assigned to that character on Facebook.
Yeah.
Every time you upload a photo,
Deleting my
analysing your
Facebook.
face, putting it in a database, and it can create. So it can essentially create.
Delete my account
sims
now.
In
Yeah.
your, it can essentially create a sim of you in your house. Like it would literally take me like 5 seconds to film my house, and then someone else comes around and videos me, and they'll be like, "That's the corner of the room where JJ was sat. So we'll take an angle of his face. We've got that side of his face, and his little fucking character that walks around." It would probably take about 3 people to come to my house because I live in a bungalow. It would take 3 people to come to my house, take a couple of videos of me in my house, and they could literally have every single angle of my house and what exactly it is.
That's-
obviously, and then, but this is the fucking weird thing about it is that's just the outside of your house, so that's like the skin.
Yeah.
So you know, for instance, like in Call of Duty now, they go into like fine details of like paintings on walls and they make
Yeah.
them look real. Like
Yeah.
so then just imagine, like, because now they're doing that without our. Essentially, we do give them our permission, but we don't know what it's for.
Indirectly, yeah.
This is why everyone's going wild about TikTok, because like it's Chinese, so they're just like, but the Chinese have their own TikTok.
It's like we currently have like an AI that was used in Peter Jackson's "They Shall Not Grow Old" movie, where you've got like 15 frames per second of video footage, and we have AI technology that's able, through algorithmic programming, like they'll pump so many images into this AI and it'll go, well, that's a person walking and there's like 5 frames missing or 10, 15 frames missing. If I watch that image and images of other people walking, I can kind of simulate and calculate how he's going to walk, and it makes like absolutely perfect, like 120 frames per second video footage from shit that's been recorded over 100 years ago. So then, and then people are still like, nah, simulation theory is like, we're getting it on a bog standard level, like a really, really early alpha sort of idea. Look at this 2D plane. This person has a 5 frames per second video, and it's a person taking 3 steps until the end of the frame or the end of the video. Wow, let's just pump loads of images of people walking. 5 years later, they're like, oh, look, we've got an image of this person that wasn't captured walking in all of these frames, currently walking in these frames.
And you're essentially creating false history there, because you can change one of the weird things, I know. So there was another guy who theorizes that the history that we've created, we could essentially, through using simulation theory, we can essentially change via like the product that you said. So the concepts of our modern society is that like things were bad in the past, but then this is where I'm like, all this thing's based around science, which is a human concept. So
yes. So are we observing what is correct?
This is the thing that the mass argument of simulation theory is. It's maths. It's not science.
Yeah, it's maths.
So they're saying that maths. And this is where Nick Bostrom is, and the other guy, Hoffman. This is where, when he talks about that one particle, it makes that one choice, and he basically explains it. That particle has made the choice of 1 or 0. It hasn't made the choice of yes or no, because that's language. It hasn't made the choice of left or right, because that's direction and area.
That's a construct.
And it has no concept of it. It's as we see it, it's a little ball, like a fucking fine, like small, really small, and it literally just knows yes or no, 1 or 0.
1 or 0, yeah.
On or off, that is.
Yeah, which is binary. Obviously.
And it only does it when it's physically observed by a human.
It doesn't. No, it does it all. It still does it. But apparently it can change its mind.
Sorry, that's it. Yeah, if it's observed.
They've done this test multiple times, and the results have always been different. They've even done this fucking mental test. Imagine the same test that I was talking about before, the slit one.
Yeah.
There's 2 lasers, and when it goes through one thing, it bends one way. Sorry, one laser, and when it goes through one thing, it bends one way.
Yeah.
But then the other one carries on going, so that's one choice. And then that then is split off 2 ways, and then they pump them all around this machine to go to what they call a coincidence counter.
Right.
So this is what they do in science. Obviously, they try and break it down to bare minimal. Anyway, they do this coincidence counter thing, which shouldn't, it should always be the same result. It changes every time. So this particle laser bounces off 8 things. So it goes into like, essentially 64 different results, and it goes to this coincidence counter, and they say the reason why that it is so strange, like that it's so
natural, there's no law to it,
is because the time it takes to get to the coincidence counter changes every time as well. So if it was just a thing that had no choice, it would take the same amount of time every time.
Right,
but it takes different paths. And it's different times.
And that's kind of what also kind of counters the possibility of us existing in the first place. Like scientists and evolutionists and that, they're like, we're just a lucky accident. And it's where you think it's like, well, the odds of all of this happening, taking that into account, just sounds stupid. Doesn't it?
one thing that I was like considering, and it's always something that I've been considering like my whole life, was that maybe we are the top level of it all. I know that's what all humans like kind of like to think, but maybe we are the top level of it all, and the things themselves are becoming more conscious because they can't get out. You know, so like, you know, when, for instance, if they said to you can't get off planet Earth, that's it. What would you do? You'd start searching the ocean. That's one of the big arguments. Like, well, we don't even know what's in the fucking ocean. Like, because all we're bothered about is getting off the planet. But and this is what I think when Joe Rogan always talks about stuff about psychedelic drugs. He's like, you first need to work out what's fucking going on in here first.
Yes.
You know, before you start wondering about what's going on.
The stars and
But then the hard part is, it's like you could spend all your time getting mashed off your tits and seeing like ancient deities and stuff.
Yeah.
But you could be wasting a lot of time doing it and realizing there's not a lot there.
So what
you said, it's just mush.
So what intrigues me the most as well, like you were saying, those like quarks, they would only react when like they would be observed by like a human. Like it had to. They always
react, but they change. The results are different when they aren't on their own. So it's drastically different. It's not like, and this is a weird thing. This is one thing I can't quite grasp. You're observing it, but you can't see it because it's fucking particles.
Right.
But they showed this experiment of like a scientist like leaning over this box whatever they fucking do. I'm presuming it's something like CERN. I don't think it's just some guy with a laser pen with a fucking he's cut a Stanley mark door out of a
if I look away, it do one thing. If I look back, it do nothing. I remember, right, so this is going to go off a bit, but did anyone ever watch the documentary What the Bleep Do We Know Down the Rabbit Hole?
No.
I watched What the Bleep Do We Know, but I'm not sure if it's the same.
It's cool. I think you definitely watched it. It's basically, they took quantum theory and they made it about God. Have you seen that one? It's pretty much what it is.
Yeah,
right, it's mental, but I just remember I remember watching it on a come down way back when I lived on my own. And I remember just sitting in bed, like watching it, going, "Oh my god, this is all true. Oh, we can do what we want." And I think it begins with some blind woman bouncing, like walking through a basketball court, and the ball hits her foot, and she picks it up, and she shoots the ball, and it goes in the net. I just remembered it. So
is that the one with the girl who draws paints all those fucking mental aliens, and she's just called the Violet Children? The end of the spectrum, aren't they? The Indigo Children, that's it. Yeah. And they believe that they can see just past ultraviolet, and they believe that they have a spiritual connection with beings just past ultraviolet.
If anyone wants to watch something that's complete lunacy, that has a tiny little bit, it's pseudoscience, but it's called What the Bleep Do We Know? Just check it out. If you haven't seen it, or if you have seen it, please go in the Discord and talk about it, because it's so funny.
There is an interesting thing, like, where obviously we're neither scientists nor doctors nor graduates of any sort, but there is an interesting one where they show
we're dumb cunts.
Autism. Yeah, we're dumb cunts. There is an interesting one where they show a kid with autism where they fly him over New York and he literally draws it all in a biro.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the problem is with that, they're trying to make it about religion. Like, that's the hard part about it. It's like, but then again, religion is just a construct. So
right, exactly.
It
means nothing.
Saying that whatever you think is the server. Let's say, for instance, God is the server. Like,
people creating a language to perceive it.
God, essentially in the Matrix world, would have been the architect, the guy who made it all.
Yeah.
But he just made the server. He just made the simulation. So if people want to fucking do whatever they want to do, and he's probably just like, I couldn't give a shit. You're like one bit of data, like running around fucking shooting places and killing people just because you believe in my system. But then there's other people down there who don't give a fuck about my system, and they're doing wonders for the world. Yeah. And they're called scientists, and they don't fucking believe in me at all. But that's probably better, because then if they don't believe in me, I'm always going to be the best guy. I don't give a shit about what you're doing in your little fucking, like, your Indigo Children and whatnot, painting fucking unicorns.
Mate, yeah.
Okay. He's just sat in his fucking server room. He's probably got really nice air conditioning. All lights
Nice,
going off all the time.
nice proper bent curve, like bent monitor, like
Nah,
surrounded him,
he's
sitting there giving it all
probably
this.
got a fucking Patreon. He's probably like playing his fucking games and he's just like. What's
He's
it
a
called?
Twitch streamer. God's a Twitch streamer.
Jesus Christ! Cheers for everything, bro. Cheers for making them dickheads believe
Just
in me, bro.
this one streaming sentient being in like nothing, just this humongous fucking monitor around him, and he's just
And
like,
the
no
only
one's
way that you
observing
can see
me.
him- Yeah, and the only way you can see him is if you just smash loads of mushrooms in.
And then one day he's playing like GTA like 24,000 or whatever, and then one day one of us just turns around and goes, I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I can see, and you're just trying to get out. God, is that you? It's just like shit,
He's
shit.
like,
Pulls the plug.
trying to press Control Alt Delete. And then his fucking office sets on fire. You know, like in Westworld.
Out of nowhere, just like there's nothing around. I haven't programmed any fire in here. Am I a simulation?
The problem is with that though, then we would all just die. So
That's the premise of a next Ryan Reynolds film. That is. Yeah, that.
Oh
is
yeah,
it
where he's an
not-
NPC.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
He's an
shit, I
NPC
didn't
that
see
breaks his script, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So a bit like the Truman Show, essentially, but like a
To
modern
a
version of
degree,
the
yeah,
Truman
yeah.
Show,
Well, the Truman Show is like.
And it's a simulation,
theory.
yeah.
And that's,
well,
that's the thing, though, isn't it? That's a flesh and bone simulation.
Well, that's what people
This-
think when we say simulation theory. They think that it's like that, right?
I don't think
computers.
so. I think
Free
people
Guy. That's the name of the movie. Free Guy.
I think people majorly feel. I mean, this is. I think that people feel that simulation theory is. I think this is what Elon Musk thinks. I think he thinks that it's. We aren't real. So we're not. I think people. Because there was this big conspiracy years ago about the moon actually being a projection.
Yes.
So like it was just like a bat signal in the sky or something, and you know, if you threw a tennis ball at it, it'd like spin around like a Christmas decoration. Like there is people who thought that, but then, oh god, it's so fucking hard.
It is. It's so
It's existential fucking shit. Like it.
the way
it's-
yeah the way I look at simulation theory in general is I do generally believe it is a possibility, but that only comes from the fact that I love computers. I love tech. I love everything about video games, and the horrifying image of how advanced AI is becoming. If someone like Elon Musk sits there and says at like a TED talk, as well as on Joe Rogan and like other like places of convention and stuff like that, he actually sits there and says we need to be very careful of artificial intelligence. Like if he is saying, and most people, I think even Jeff Bezos said that as well when it came with Amazon. He was like, it needs to be policed now before it's too late.
Every film that has AI in it, it goes fucking tits up. There's no
Exactly.
AI that goes right.
It's like they keep wanting to make bloody dinosaur parks. Like, oh, what? But the fifth one? Ah, no, this one will be different. This one will be different.
Here's one for you. Westworld. So that's.
I haven't seen that.
More of the idea that it is a flesh and bone thing, but the non-playable characters then develop consciousness.
Yeah.
So I am saying consciousness, right? It is.
Yes, you are.
Yeah,
Yeah, consciousness.
'Cause
Yeah.
I always think of the other thing where you're like knocked unconscious. So I don't
Oh,
know if it's
no,
like-
consciousness,
I don't know if
yes.
that is the same thing, but
It is.
so yeah, in Westworld, which is a fucking really good one, because I feel that that's, for me, that's where we are now. Where
Yeah.
at that moment, before, we're kind of like the 1940s version of Westworld. So
Yes.
they're actually like shitty robots, you know, like not robots who can just do a backflip, because no one fucking wants a robot that can do a backflip. You want one that can cook
Scary
you
as
fucking
fuck.
dinner. Yeah, and like all the you nerdy perverts out there, you want one that you can have sex with. You don't want a fucking robot that can do some parkour on a block. So basically, Westworld, the new version, is where I can imagine where things will be for us in like the next 50, 60 years. Like,
And I sorry, JJ, go on, finish, mate.
No. It's one of them things. Like I feel, but this is the human complex again, isn't it? You don't want to feel like you're being controlled by something, but
Well, no, of course not.
So
Yeah.
even like, I saw Ben's like smile a minute ago, and I felt his little like comedy conscious thing say yes, and I thought he was just going to come in and be like, but I feel that that's the...
To connect...
You see in people, like, even over a fucking, like, a computer, like,
it's
you
conscious
see that.
information traversing large distances, weightless, instantaneously. Just, oh, God.
And the thing is, like, this is the part that I like about it the most, is because when you're around people more often, you take parts of them... Like friendship, like you take parts from them and you see parts in them that other people
P2p, man! P2p!
But then the world, the outside server can have such a shitty effect on the P2p server that sometimes it just... It obviously, like, this is getting really fucking dark at
But this is
kind of like... It feels like sometimes the world... just kind of fucking takes that information and takes everything from that person or like and takes things from people and it just doesn't fucking give anything back. You know.
But think of it as I kind of see it as a friends list. This peer-to-peer thing.
Yeah.
It's like it's friends list. Like imagine
Mike, close up.
We all have a friends list of friends that are close to us. JJ was on my friends list. Dean was on my friends list, but you weren't on each other's friends list.
Yeah.
So therefore you weren't syncing up as much maybe peer-to-peer wise. Yeah. But as soon as your connections became peer-to-peer, you weren't just feeding through me. Your consciousness, like what you knew and what I knew, wouldn't feed through me. Now they feed direct, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I think we joined
the Discord group.
Yeah, and
we put the link in the Discord group. So P2P with all us fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Follow this.
Join our Discord.
It's a strong group now.
It is. You guys, if you're listening and you haven't already joined the Discord server, or if you're a new member and this is the first time you're listening to Not Another Conspiracy Podcast, please click the link below, join the Discord, peer-to-peer with the rest of us, and let's get this group
the Discord side.
So good.
Let's get that consciousness growing ever greater.
But yeah, it's to me that I think if it ever comes to us understanding or working out the meaning of life in general, if we are a simulation, if we're not a simulation, understanding consciousness and discovering what it is like as a whole, I think that is the key to all of this, because it's information that's clearly accessible to everybody and like we're all I get it when spiritual people are now all just like, we are interconnected, all of us are connected, everything here
I've
is
always
connected.
thought that though.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I've always my mum so my mum, I don't know if I've ever told you guys, but my mum is properly into spiritual stuff. She's like, she talks to the dead. She does like exorcisms on houses. But to be fair, we once in my old flat we had a ghost, right? And it was one night thing, right? I fell asleep on the sofa at 4:00 in the morning. I woke up. I felt someone was watching me on the sofa. And I went, oh fuck, like that. All right. And then in the morning, I was telling my housemate, and he goes, what time was this? And I said, about 4 in the morning. At 4:00 in the morning, at 4:03, I woke up with someone running across my bed. Right? Like, and he goes, I was like, fuck. All right, so my mum came around and my mum came around with my dad and they exorcised the house, and my dad was following around her. It is amazing. With two bells going ding. Ding. And my
Hare Krishna.
My mum's
Krishna,
saging the
Krishna.
rooms, and my dad's going ding, ding like that. Me and Katie and
at the
Lucas
end, did she go
cracking up?
Did she go, this house is clear? Did she say it?
No, she went, hopefully they won't come back. But what happened?
Sorry, go on.
Well, what was happening though, and this is what my mum thinks, because downstairs like the downstairs neighbours, they'd left, but they'd just run away, like left all their stuff there. And then that morning, the house clearance people had gone and smashed the whole place up and pulled everything out. And she reckons that is how the spirit got into our. It was
like
house.
A tear in the coding.
Like it went, okay, well, I've got nowhere else to go now. I'll go upstairs. It was, mate. I never believed in them, but there was definitely something that like
did something.
Whatever it was there at that moment, and now I've scared myself. I'm gonna have to walk back into the house. So.
It's like with ghosts, they're just energy and like information. Like if they do exist, it's just information. Like, so what's to say that it doesn't?
I just think it's another like there's this. If we're
Another
say
layer.
we're all on. So like you said, go back to the mainframe thing, and we're a different server running on that mainframe. Maybe it's like on a map on COD, and our server's running on that map right now, and someone else is there's another server running on the same map.
Yeah,
and sometimes they either run at the same time.
Little blips occur every now and again on different servers.
Yeah,
they experience themselves.
Or someone like dies and then rejoins the server, or the server shuts down accidentally, and a few people accidentally like load up on our screen for like a minute. There's so many ways it can let's just believe that it's a computer one for now, or it's there's a server that it would explain so much stuff.
It's like, yeah, you could create a ghost in a video game that's a simulation. Do you know what I mean? You could just program anything. That's why I believe it all.
I was talking to a tattooist friend of mine, and he was asking me if I'd ever been down. There's a place in York called Lady Peckett's Yard. It was a really random one. Like he messages me every now and again, like, and it's usually something weird. And he was like, "Have you ever been down there?" I was like, "No." And he was like, "Well, me and my friend went down there one day. Bearing in mind, I used to work in the pub next door, and I worked there for a long time, and I experienced quite a lot of weird shit there." And he was like, he took me down to this thing, and he said there was like a mirage down this thing, and apparently you can only really see it at certain times of the day because it's a really like narrow, like cobbled yard.
Okay.
And there's a theory that is like a gateway to something in the code, and it's weird that it's right next to the most haunted place in York.
Right.
And it's basically, he described it. He said it's like looking, you know, when you see a car and it's really hot and you look on the side, like a mirage.
Yeah.
Thing. But he said it's apparently always there.
What is it called?
You know, it's called Lady Pickett's Yard.
Lady Pickett's Yard.
Lady Peckett's Yard, sorry.
Right,
It's
gotcha.
Opposite the Shambles in York.
So it's like
But
a
yeah,
weird.
I said to him, he said, I wouldn't be able to tell you when to do it. I'd just have to show you because it's in such a really strange place. Like it's all the buildings are like caved over and
Right, yeah.
Like, there's not a lot of light down there, but like
It looks beautiful.
I used to work in the pub next door, the Golden Fleece, and actually when I was working there, they filmed an episode of Most Haunted. Derek Okora wasn't there, but
missed out there then.
Some fucking they used to hold like seances in there and shit all the time. It was really fucking
And
weird.
it still leads. Like I said, I'm a huge into video games, and in that respect of like technology and computers and stuff like that, and it's the odd things that happen in life that also coincide with what makes me believe that we could possibly be living in a simulation, because we've gone from Pong in the 70s to like GTA like 5 and Red Dead Redemption, where you've got just endless, infinite scripts just running over on these humongous maps. It's like, what's to say that something strange that occur? Oh, I saw a ghost. It was like, and someone that doesn't believe it's a simulation will be like, you ain't seen a ghost. They don't exist. But then there's people like us that sit there and we believe that it's a simulation that's being run. What's to say that it isn't a piece of coding that's split through?
A similar experience with as Ben had. I'd fallen asleep on the sofa, and I think in the night a ghost had come and shit in my pants.
Because I didn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
I've literally been waiting to say that since he said it, and I was like, fuck, I've got to wait till he comes back.
Oh, come on. Someone put baked beans in my trousers.
Oh, no, yeah, you nasty ghost.
So, I guess we're probably coming to an end of, unless you've got anything further, mate. I don't know.
No, not really. I mean, we could talk about what is the simulation, what happens in the simulation.
What is consciousness?
What is consciousness? We could go on for absolutely ages about it. And, you know, some of the things that that it could be like something. I mean, the ghost thing and things like that is what I wanted to get to. Is that how it kind of explains if we are in a simulation, conscious from whether it's from our.
Oh,
1 second, I've got to shut the door.
is it the FBI? MI6? They on me in, mate.
Gonna turn his server off.
So
They're
if it
becoming
is,
sentient.
if we are in a simulation, then a lot of things that happen in this world that are unexplained can be easily explained as glitches or DLCs, upgrades and stuff like that.
That video, that ball video.
Yeah.
Glitch.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Right. Another reason to join the Discord server because you get to understand what the fuck we're talking about right now.
Yeah, explain this whole ball video to listeners that haven't seen it.
Do you want to do it, Ben, or shall I do it?
Okay, there's a video of a boy with some dogs, and then there's a ball that wasn't there, and and I've watched it 20,000 times over and over again. Going, I'm gonna work it out in a minute. You'll see, like, the dog walks across, and then the ball's probably was like underneath him or
under his legs or something, but it's just
there's
not there.
no way. This ball just appears.
So this child's on like a balcony, it looks like, and there's like 4 dogs running around, and this child's walking forward, and then the dogs kind of disperse, and then out of nowhere a ball just randomly appears. Like it looks like it's out of nowhere,
but it doesn't
then
roll
the
on.
kid changes its
it just looks
concept of it. The kid's walking, and then the ball appears, and the kid
kind of looks at it
as if it didn't realise it was there. Like,
and
yeah.
the ball.
And I mean, that's the thing. As a kid, you wouldn't be able to conceptually work out. The kid's going in a direction, and then it's, for instance, like when something's being observed, something changed.
Yeah.
Because the kid's like, oh. A ball.
Oh, there's a ball there.
And,
it
it didn't roll on from off camera. It didn't bounce. It didn't come out of. It wasn't there. That wasn't on camera. It was literally not there. It was there, and then the kid wasn't paying any attention to it. The ball appeared. The kid went, "Oh, look, a ball!" Like any kid would. Like
it's so strange.
Is there not anything that? When we were talking about the Wayfair thing, where you can put it through an analysis thing and you can see the difference in editing.
Yeah, there probably could be.
Any video one?
Because
but that looks
so peculiar, and it looks real. Like
because if the kid hadn't turned around and gone, look, a ball, then you could say it was put in there and masked and photoshopped and used in
but it's
After
the
Effects.
child's reaction.
But his reaction changes. So unless the whole thing is digitally created, the whole thing is fake. Which I don't
it's
think
not.
it is.
Yeah.
If the thing was digitally created, you'd have made your garden look a little bit better. It's
But
it
then
literally looks like it's in Beirut.
I think it was just for
Nah, it looks like after it. To be fair.
yeah. For me, it's just I just can't work it out, and normally I'll work it out eventually. Like when someone posted in the Discord, back to the Discord. Someone posted in the Discord some video the other day, and I explained straight away what it was. The Pope disappearing.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's from a B-roll, and they've just left the flash frame on the end from when they've cut the clips together. Because when you send B-roll, you send one long timeline clip. You don't send individual clips. And when they've cut the B-roll to show on the news, they've just left the frame from the end of that clip.
Right, yeah.
And they've cut out the bit
and they
where
didn't.
he disappears.
They didn't edit it.
So it was just an edit fail. Whereas that kid, when the ball, I just can't explain it. There's no.
I've looked at that from an editor's standpoint as well, and I can't at all.
Yeah, I can't.
It makes no sense. Like
even
Even
the graphics,
even if it was edited, it's like Hollywood. It would be Hollywood edit
level. Yeah, absolutely.
Why would anyone do that? Just like, oh, this is
it would be a full VFX job. And that kid would have to be fake because they reacted to it. So, like, it was... Then there's no cut in the camera. There's no rolling on from it. He just sees the ball. He goes, oh, there's a ball there now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you would kind of also argue as well, like, the dogs are playing together. So there is no physical space for that ball to be.
No.
Yeah.
It's not even like it's not even like it just appears. It's moving, and it's moving in the wrong direction. So even if the dogs are dispersed, the ball would be rolling away from the dogs, wouldn't it? But it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's as if it's like rolling to where the dogs were just playing.
I'm going to watch it now and talk you through it. Because it's...
I've only just realised all my lights have gone completely red, and now I actually feel like I'm in a sauna. My t-shirt, just for people listening, well, you can't see it, but I am soaking wet. It's boiling. The simulation needs to fucking cool down a little bit because it's melting all the simulated ice and making me very fucking warm.
Turn that water cooling on.
Yeah. If you're listening, I'll drop you $1 if you...
We'll sign up to your Patreon.
Yeah. You'd be like, $1, are you kidding?
Right.
I won't even get out of bed for $1.
Go on, Ben.
The only thing I can perceive is that the ball is in front. The kid is kicking the ball the whole time, and the ball is in front of him, and then it bounces off the dog.
I can't see that. I can't. Well, yeah, it's the only way, but
my only one that I had, my only grasp,
and that's why he goes back for the ball.
To be athletic, but my thing was that the dog would have it at the front of its body, in between its legs. So
no, because you can see that.
There, and then as it walks, its body rolls over the ball, and then comes out of the rear. But the dog doesn't change. Like the dog level doesn't change. So it's the ball is taller than the dog's body, isn't it? So it's almost it. Well, it is impossible unless it's edited.
The only way.
I'd love someone to run it. You should surely be able to run it through a video editing software and pump
to see where some
just
pixels
see if
manipulated.
the levels are up.
It is strange.
Yeah.
No, because you can see you see the ball appear. Sorry, viewers. I'll
listeners as well.
We actually started this podcast to basically talk shit to each other about shit. So if now you're like, oh, I'm bored, I'm turning off. It's you need to watch this video. It's mental.
The only thing is that ball is in front of that boy's foot the whole time, and
surely you can put a clip of this up, so people can see what we're not now, obviously, because it's filmed.
Yeah. No. The only way is that ball is at the front, is in front of that kid the other way, but it's clearly not really.
What was the other one that you said? It's not quite dialed in with simulation theory, but
it's a bit like her dad's got a photo. Her dad's got a photo on his phone of the cockpit of a plane, January 27th, 2027, and he doesn't know how easily done. That's easily done, but he doesn't know how it got there. But it was TikTok.
Oh, sorry, right, bullshit. Yeah, that picture, right, gotcha.
I used to do it on computer games when you wanted to I think it was Skyrim. You could keep changing the clock, and you would get so if you changed the clock on Skyrim to 2020, because you constantly got a certain XP bonus every day. So if you changed your clock to 2020, you'd wake up the next day and you'd have 15 million XP. But then the issue was you couldn't turn the clock back, so you then were the same level as everyone else. I didn't realise it, and that was it. Game over. You saved everything. So. Are we all? Have we all said everything we kind of?
Well,
I want to know what everyone thinks. I want to know exactly not an if or a maybe. I want to know exactly where you think you are in this.
I'm gonna let Dean go first.
I think we are, without doubt, and I think we're getting to a point where we would be able to develop an AI that essentially could construct things of its own accord, and it won't be too long until there are some laws made when it comes to governments and private corporations handling artificial intelligence. I think technology is too good right now in the public eye for us to not be in fear of it, if you know what I mean. But people release technology gradually, and of course special the governments across the world and intelligence agencies use incredible pieces of technology that are more advanced than what are publicly available to find things out, create things, and this, that, the other. I think it's highly probable that we are or could one day
But what
find out if we're living in a simulation or not.
But what kind of simulation are we in? Are we in one that the government is aware of, or
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
just
I don't
happening
think
around us.
anybody's aware of it. I think it's just coming to a point of human technological advancement in our evolution, where it's coming to a point where we're actually either going to work out the fact that we're in a simulation, or we're going to be coming to a point of creating an artificial intelligence close enough to consciousness. I think it's getting to that point.
Will then start another simulation.
That's what I said. There's two things. I believe that there's two things. So I guess I'm in between 2 and 3 of, is it Bostrom's? Nick Bostrom's? I think I'm between 2 and 3. That we're either going to find out that we are, or we're going to create an artificial intelligence, or manage to figure out how consciousness works.
That's
and
1
to
and
which
3.
Oh, sorry, 1 and 3. I'm between, sitting on both of the edge of those. That's what I believe. It's going to come to a point where we'll end up creating laws in being like, this is getting a bit fucking risky. We need as a race of humans to agree that we need to keep this contained, because we'll end up in the P2p.
That is 2 and 3 because you're you want to stem it.
Yes,
You
2
we'll
and 3.
get there, but then stem it.
Yes,
But we're
that's what
already
I
in
believe.
one.
That's what I believe. Or
But
we will work out that we're in one. We'll sit there and work out a code. Someone will go, fucking hold on a minute, and be able to consciously transform something. Like,
And the holodeck, and we're on the holodeck.
I do believe that's what we're going to come to. We're either going to work it out, or we're going to come to a point of, shit, this is a bad idea. Lock that away. When we can't touch this, it will be the death of humanity.
So, Dean, when I said I want a definitive answer, you've given me all 3 of Nick Bostrom's theories.
I can't, but we're either going to
difficult.
we're either going to find out that we're in one, or we're going to create it.
Right.
Until we
Or
find out
both.
one or the other, you can't be sure. It's like
this
saying,
it.
is there a
This
god?
We can't do any of them. That's the.
Right. Fuck's sake. Ben.
Are you right? Yeah, Ben.
Are you sure you don't want to go next, JJ?
I'll go next then because
Oh, God, I do.
I think that our brains themselves are part of an evolution program. So the brain is taking information. Like, I don't think we're made of pixels. I don't think that I think the consciousness that is spread between all of us is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't believe it's simulated. I don't believe that. There was one thing that I maybe, when we were speaking earlier on about self-replicating robots,
Yep.
I think that we might have been out the DNA or the idea of an organic robot, a human, would have been sent here a long, long time ago on a fucking population thing of, and just we were sent here from all the best bits of all the other fucking civilizations. Oh, well, maybe not the best bits, but some of them, and we were sent here to learn about maybe their mistakes. So maybe when I say a simulation, I don't mean a simulation as in a computer game simulation. I mean a simulation of an idea of life.
Right,
So
yeah.
I believe that we are organic robots. I think the idea that the organic element is probably better than the. So, for instance, if there was a planet that only had the elements that created, for instance, we eat food to stay alive. If there was an element that had all their resources were just battery orientated, like to make batteries, it would make sense that you create something that uses batteries to survive.
Yes. Yeah.
So, like, whether we came before robots or robots put us here or whatnot, I wouldn't know. Very similar to you, I don't know, but I do think that we were probably made to discover consciousness.
Yeah.
And work out.
That's an interesting perspective.
Why the fuck we've done everything that or why the fuck on that other planet they did all the stuff that they did.
Yeah.
That's
an interesting one.
They think gods are the light beings, but I think it's probably a lot worse. I think they were probably a lot worse than us, and they've sent us here because it's a fresh planet.
Yeah.
Let them see how it works out, and then maybe we'll go down and pick up the good bits in a million years and see, what happens. It's a fucking wild one. It's one that I think I'd like to think was a thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't scare me.
No.
I think the idea that we are pixels and we are just bits of data. I think that scares me the most, because then that sorts your own consciousness out, and it's like, if I am just this, why am I abiding by the system? You know?
Yeah.
If I'm literally just ones and zeros, what's the point? But then you can argue, like, everything's made of ones and zeros, so it doesn't really matter. But then it's like, do you continue the system, or do you rebel against the system? Like, essentially the pilots in...
There is no spoon, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like... I prefer the idea that we are all equal in our bodies, but essentially some of us got dealt a shitter deck of consciousness particles. Some of our splatter patterns weren't quite right, and they just went. Oh. I do probably think that we are being observed.
Yes. Yeah. I think
so,
that.
like, whether it's a game simulation, i.e., this is a game. I think that could be a possibility, but I'd like to think that they didn't give a fuck about us. I think they just thought, we'll throw them on that planet and just let
see what
burn
happens.
And let them mine everything for us. Which then we should maybe talk about in the future is prison planet theory, which kind of links in with that. But Ben, what's your thoughts?
I don't think computer game. I don't think pixels. I think consciousness and like a conscious peer-to-peer kind of thing, because the synchronicities and like deja vu and all that, and ghosts and mediums and all the things that people think aren't real, and the fact that we've kind of will things into existence.
Right.
Like I said on last week's podcast, is that at the moment it feels like enough people are believing in certain things that things are being willed into existence.
Yeah,
I think
hive mind, right?
Yeah, hive mind. I think
it's like everybody knew that elites and politicians were pedophiles, and boom, it's all coming out.
As soon as they found out, it all came out. UFOs are real now all of a sudden, but it's got a lot to do with the fact that so many people listening to Rogan's podcast. Like, that many people then believe it because it's on Rogan. They're like, UFOs must be real. And then Netflix has got Bob Lazar in it.
Yeah. So hive mind P2p sort of.
Before this many people were connected via podcasts and YouTube and Netflix, there wasn't that group conscious. Like, there wasn't enough people the same. Like you said, with the peer-to-peer, with the BitTorrent thing, there wasn't the same people with the same bits of information. Now, there are millions of people that have got the same bits of information in their heads. And that is linking data-wise. So maybe we're not computer simulation, but we're a consciousness simulation, or our conscious is simulating our environment around us, or our consciousness is linking our neurons, and how far neurons from thing to thing and how our computers connect is how we connect. So more
an organic robot.
We are becoming this group thing, and I think the next step up is obviously we become a computer simulation. I think that's
cybernetic organism
because
living tissue over endoskeleton.
when we work out. When we work out consciousness and how consciousness works, that's when we will we'll go.
Our next step in evolution.
We will go. Let's digitize this. Let's live forever.
The next step in human evolution.
We can save the planet by digitizing ourselves.
That's. But then the problem is you have no need for the body.
Right.
You know that part in the Matrix where he's like, the body can't live without the mind.
But
are humans at that level where they could live without the body? Like, imagine just like, what, like, so that simulation in your head. So it's like what we were talking about before. You have this dialogue in your head. That's a simulation, because
it is.
You've got three things talking to you. Well, not three things, but like a few scenarios. Like, don't do that, do that. You've got
you all have inner monologues, don't you?
Yeah. Well, so there's people there's people who can't. They
talk to themselves.
Listen, but they don't see things as words or visuals. That was another weird one.
Oh God, I don't like it.
But that goes back to Donald Hoffman, which is the way we perceive the world and through our eyes and
It's
our
different.
brains is a UI, is a user interface. So some people have Windows, some people have Mac, some people have Android,
Linux.
some people have Linux, some people have something completely different. And then some people are on a completely different plane and they've got the upgrade, you know. So, and then animals have a
It
different
just-
version of that.
Why does
and-
it make sense? Why does it make sense?
Fucking UFOs, because that's what they
But
were
then
saying
that-
about when they get abducted, they come back and they're different people, and they've just banged another fucking chip in, an upgrade.
Why does it make
into
sense?
Yeah.
Oh.
See, that made so much more sense to me when he goes, and that it's our user interface. Unostrum, I think. Unostrum, or something like that. That's what it is, the word, I think. And we all have a different
on the
one.
book in the Matrix.
Yes, I tried to Google.
Simacula. So it's simulation and simacula.
I tried to look that up last night, mate.
Yeah, it's the green book in the Matrix when he takes the floppy.
Yeah, I tried to
Oh
pause
yeah,
it.
he puts the money.
The floppy disk out.
Puts the mini disc in the
If you
the money.
get caught using this.
Well,
Yeah. He's like, yeah, what? So I'll give you $1,500. I'll use it for all the fuck I want.
Lars Ulrich will be
Yeah,
on you.
It was a
It was a Metallica album.
It was a
It was a Metallica album.
It's an anger.
And he was just like, if you get caught using this, no one will be your friend. Imagine paying $1,500.
It's just that.
To send anger. Yeah.
Oh.
So bad.
Oh.
Invisible
But yeah.
kid, never see what he did.
Yeah.
Frown, tick, 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 tock.
Yeah. So I think we all wrapped.
I think we're all simulated out, to be honest.
My lifestyle determines my death style. I think
Oh, stop it.
So for me, it's the consciousness is how we're all linked.
It's the key.
And
Yeah.
that the fact that so many people think the same, they have the same, like, you know, you finish each other's sentences, you know, you go, I was just thinking that, oh my god, like
multiple what was it, double trips when you're tripping out with someone on mushrooms. I did that with Reese at Reading Festival on mushrooms. Both saw the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's just there's something there. I don't know what it is, and I don't know if that's because that's the Donald Hoffman thing just made sense to me. I don't understand it, but it made sense.
Yeah.
So I was like, I kind of get that vibe that maybe our consciousness has evolved to disguise what reality is, and it's given us this reality that kind of
is more comforting to us.
It's more comforting and gets the job done. That's
we created
basically
a perfect world, but the humans
rejected it.
rejected it.
Mr. Anderson.
Rejected it.
I think one of the weird things is though, and it's again going back to what I said about science. Science is the construct that we made. So all these people getting involved, they're all fucking mashing our minds and like giving us all these big long sentences.
It's just
they just want to be like, the data that's in your brain is all essentially you've got to give to this world. Give it to as many people, you know, tell everyone about it, and then they fucking tell you about it, and you're upgrading constantly. You are constantly upgrading. Like, you could argue, like, if aliens came down and saw, like, babies, and that's all they saw, they'd just be like, what are these fucking
the fuck
idiots?
is that?
Like, what, you know, what...
Why is he picking up his own shit and throwing it?
How's that gonna fucking benefit this planet?
Yeah.
Give them to the rich, let them eat them! but obviously the rich wouldn't be here, because it'd only be a world full of babies. So, which they would love.
Fucking
They'd be fucking kicking Bezos off his throne.
Planet Wayfair. Oh,
They'd be like,
God.
fuck you, Bezos. We've got an unlimited supply of kids.
Oh, man.
So-
Loads of pizza shops everywhere.
Yeah, this is the guy in this server room just coming up with these fucking mental ideas. This is probably what people are thinking. Like, what the fuck are they talking about? Stupid idiots.
So, I mean that's basically simulation theory, I think. Really.
Yeah,
We've
very
basic.
Ta-da!
We've touched.
I'm quite proud of ourselves. I was like,
I thought we'd done quite well.
About it, weren't we? We were all just like,
We're all like, how the fuck are we going to try and come across smart when we don't understand it ourselves?
There's a few things that kind of like that I wanted to that not from how I think simulation theory actually works, but a lot of things that another way. If we are in a game, then aliens and all that just like I said,
we were talking about this last week.
like, is it that they've just uploaded the DLC for Aliens?
Yeah, they just downloaded it.
Or-
Boom,
right,
alien package out.
This was another one in that conspiracy guys one, which blew my mind when they're talking about sending consciousness into empty shells.
Yeah, that's like time travel. But
Time
like,
travel.
making
So
time
you
travel
know how
effective.
all the aliens are greys?
yeah.
Is that just the body that they send consciousness into?
Yeah, and they're
Because
actually
you could-
being projected from millions and millions of light years away.
You see, I like that.
I love
I
it.
think that-
I love
think
it
that
too.
idea
Makes
is
sense.
more logical because if you've got this, then comes into the scatter pattern thing. Because if you've got a laser beam, it's going to take you 5 fucking seconds. Well, maybe not 5 seconds, but to fire those particles to somewhere
Of consciousness.
And this is again comes down to peer, like packets. So
Yep.
when you're downloading like fucking track 1 off Johnny and track 2 have sent anger off fucking Phil or whatever, and then you eventually get the whole package, which
Yeah.
is absolutely shit. So like, you know, basically like.
Don't download Send Anger.
The greys are gonna be like when I die. They're gonna be like, oh, I've got the first part. It's fucking, you know, all this bit, and then they're gonna get the whole package. And be like, what the fuck is this?
And that's
Like,
it.
But they won't, will they? Because it'll be my consciousness, so they won't have a clue.
But it makes sense because when we finally understand consciousness and we're able to do something with it, it's limitless, it's weightless, it's just magnitudes of information that can be transferred to anything. The moment we realise that we do that is essentially creating artificial intelligence. That's when we'll be like, might need to put a bottle top on that. Fuck that. That's gonna get out of hand one day. Did you never see Terminator?
Yeah.
Just another fucking weird thing again, though. I've just
Right before we go, last one then.
So that idea that you fire your consciousness to another fucking body across the universe,
Space time, yeah.
and that part in the Matrix where they say the dead are fed to the living, so their body composes into what?
Into
But
the
our
liquid.
Our body does the same. Decomposes into the earth.
Into nature, yeah.
Feeds the earth, and then that grows to create more simulation for other people.
Oh,
I'm gonna die. I'm gonna.
what does it all mean?
Is it like
That was-
Minecraft?
I don't know.
That's what that guy said. He said if you carry on digging in Minecraft, the simulation just creates a further hole. The hole is not there until the hole's created, and then it creates another hole. Did you guys see that thing called? It was just a game that came out, and it was basically a grid. It was just loads of not Minecraft.
Mine's
it was like,
oh.
No. It was just a grid. And the first person, apparently for the first 2 weeks, it just had like 10 players. And what you had to do was you had to occupy a grid
Right.
for 1 minute a day, and it was yours. So you did that for a week, and then it was yours. But
Okay.
if you didn't occupy it, it was free reign, so anyone could grab it. But you could create whatever you wanted in that grid. So it was basically you could basically like what the Americans did when they went. You just took all the land. Like literally went, that's all right. And all you had to do, like the point of the game was that it would become addictive. So all you had to do was occupy as much space as possible and make it yours. So the original players, which is the rich, did that. And then obviously, and they died. But there was people selling products on it. So it was like a little market space.
Wow.
I sent a link to the Discord group. And
Oh, God, yeah, I want to...
And you basically, all you had to do was every day you had to occupy your space for 1 minute. So you would just go around and do that. So if you were one of the first people there and you wanted to capitalise...
You'd end up dominating
24 hours a day on it and just take up the whole... Because it was an infinite grid. And there was...
You need to post that, man. I need to
could make
see
your
that.
own character. You could be whatever you wanted to be. You know, like
What
Ready
the-
Player One. It was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, really.
And the logo
Oh,
was,
mate.
I think it was called Mark or something like that. So it was like, as in make your mark.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
There was people basically mining data from the people using it. So if someone came over and was like, "This is mine," he was like, "No, it's not." They would fight over this space for like whoever stayed up the longest. So if you didn't occupy it for less than a minute, you could just take it over. It's
You got
fucking-
you got to post that, dude. You've got to post that, man.
Yeah. Oh well, I'll get it there. But Ben's gone for a piss now, so he's
Oh, he's gone for a piss.
Probably could have done the wrap up there, but just as a last reminder, OG Socks.
OG Socks.
OGSocks.co.uk.
Oh,
NSC
man.
Code for
20% off. 20%. Like again,
Thanks, guys,
super.
again for the cool socks and shit.
I'm definitely, yeah, when it comes payday, I'm definitely getting me some more ones, particularly those ones with RIP written on them with the cross.
Yeah.
I still fucking love those, man. They got some great socks on there, dude.
Yeah,
like,
and they've fucking a relatively new company they started really quickly, so
Yeah.
good on those
Yeah.
guys, and cheers for helping us out with this. And
thank you, yeah.
and promoting us as well on Instagram. It's been good. We get a
Boom,
lot
boom.
more followers through that. So
But yeah.
probably the time to wrap up. If anyone, I know I said this 20 minutes ago. Has anyone got anything else to say?
No, I'm good.
No,
I'm all good.
Is there anything that anyone's seen in the news that they want to talk about recently that happened?
Nothing that I can. I mean,
Ellen, the whole Ellen thing's weird.
yeah, she looks like Eminem.
Oh,
I mean,
brilliant.
she's come on, like she's just getting old. I mean,
Yeah.
she's like. I
But the
remember
tags,
as-
man. The tags,
Yeah.
man.
Maybe that should be our next. Since we went fucking wild this week.
Yeah, well, I was going to
Well, this
say,
is-
Next week one.
Yeah.
next week we should ask get some questions from the Discord.
Yeah,
so
absolutely,
I'll
yeah.
put a new channel in there for next week's episode. Once this is live, asking for questions, and maybe we could probably put next week's episode on Twitch so we can get some live questions. Maybe.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. We could do that.
Could we
That
put it
would
on
be dope.
maybe put it on Dean's Twitch because he's got loads of followers.
Yeah, we could do that if you want. Then, yeah, I don't mind. We could probably do
talk
that.
about Donald Trump working in that washing machine factory.
What?
What?
He's gone underground. Did you not see that?
No. Save that then. Save that.
Okay. Well,
You
I'm
what?
worried because the big day is coming, the 14th of August. That's when apparently it's.
When is
everything's
the
gonna
14th of August?
be, next.
next-
Oh, should we record on the 14th of August?
What is
if
it?
it's the big-
Saturday?
No, it's a
It's a Friday night.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see how we get on.
because it
We
could
can
be
chat
like,
about it.
yeah, maybe we'll do that. Anyway, have we already
Yep.
said thank yous? Have you said your thank yous while I was having
yeah,
a
I've
wee?
done said
OG
thanks
socks.
to OG and that, and yeah.
Big
thanks
up
to everyone
OG
again
socks.
listening, and everyone on the Discord because it's been fucking
Yeah.
mint.
Yeah, it's
Big-
been fucking
big-
wild.
Big up to you guys for joining in and taking part in what is
The
Not Another
community, yeah.
Conspiracy community. We should come up with a name for our
Followers.
followers.
The knackers.
The Knackers!
The
You bunch
knackers?
of knackers.
Yeah, not another conspiracy.
Hey!
Us.
The knackers.
Knackers.
Nice.
The knackers and the knackims. Just gotta keep it non-gender specific.
Yeah,
There
just
we go.
knackers.
Because we're not.
Knackums.
We're all just a construct.
Construct.
Ooh, Paul is dead.
Nothing is real. We're all just a construct.
It makes me laugh every week. I'm not even pissed.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm completely dehydrated because it's like a fucking sauna in here. So.
Yeah.
I just went outside for a wee because I'm disgusting, and it's all a simulation anyway, so it doesn't matter.
You're feeding the earth.
And it's so nice outside, and in this room, it is so hot.
Horrible. But
I
yeah,
got, a camera version. Sorry, yeah, we haven't wrapped up yet, have we?
no, we need to
People
wrap
like-
up because I need to
people-
piss again.
Yeah. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Not Another Conspiracy, and on Twitter, Not Another Con, and follow the Discord. The links are in the below. D needs a wee. Thanks for watching. Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
He didn't.
Shower.
Peace.
Oh, maybe they did. So in the back, there isn't.
Light brown
Cool story.
We're not the first. We definitely won't be the last. We'd like to welcome you.